We know your time is valuable.
That's why we've created processes to keep your job running smooth.
We know you expect 5-star service.
That's why we're committed to delivering 7-star.
We know it's your home and your choice.
That's why we provide options and let you choose the right solution for your home. Experience the LCS way with LCS Heating and Cooling at lcsheatingandcooling.com.
Outside the Forecast on WTHR Plus is sponsored by LCS Heating and Cooling.
April is here, and so are the hummingbirds, specifically the ruby-throated ones. We have first sightings now in Indiana. We've had them around Indy. We've had them around North Vernon. Just a couple first sightings. When we mean first sightings, we mean here or there. Widespread reports are still in Tennessee. However, through the month of April, we expect a few more hummingbirds. And for probably at least half of Hoosiers, you may have to wait till May. It takes a while for them to be widespread, but they are moving northbound as temperatures warm up and as the sun angle gets higher. Those are crucial to have more food, more flowers blooming so that they can get the nectar and feast here in central Indiana. But they're all across the southeast. They are headed to Indiana right now. So you're going to see more and more as we push forward. Let's go ahead and talk about April. We've made it. What do we expect? Well, the biggest driver for weather changes throughout the year is the sunlight. How much sunlight are you getting? Plus, how high is the sun in the sky? And we're starting to get sun angles that are about the same as late August and into September. I know it's kind of hard to believe, but you can easily get a sunburn here in April on a perfectly sunny day. So how much more daylight are we getting? Well, here in Indiana, at least about 70 minutes from I-70 north. You're in the kind of 1 hour range for the boot of Indiana. So we're gaining more daylight. Our days are now longer than our nights, and that'll continue to increase. The amount of daylight is increasing. Our nighttime is decreasing, but the speed of this change is slowing down. So April is our second biggest daylight change for increases of the whole year. In May, we start to see it slow down. In June, eventually it stops, and actually June 20th, 21st, right there at the summer solstice, we'll flip things around. We'll start losing daylight again. So we've got a couple more months of gaining daylight. Warmer weather with higher sun angles really helping to warm us up, but also that does mean more severe weather too. Let's talk a little bit about the sky, what we can expect throughout the sky this month, also outer space too a little bit. And then we'll get into what is April typically like. And then we'll move to, okay, knowing that, what is this April going to be? It's going to be close to average, or is it going to be a little bit different? So let's get into it. We start with full moons. We actually have already had our full moon for April. It was there on the 1st. That was Wednesday, April 1st. Pink moon. Now, it didn't appear pink. It's called pink just because some of the flowers this time of year, Native Americans would see the pink flowers and they would call it the pink moon. So very appropriate. Now, coming up in May, we get two moons. We get the flower moon, and then because there's a second moon, we call that a blue moon. It's not actually blue, but we've got some colors for the moon names here for the next month or so. So we weren't able to see it very well though, but this is what it would have looked like. Not pink, but still kind of fun to see. One of our smaller moons. It was rising there just after 8 o'clock, just after sunset or so. All right, so where are we now? Well, starting here in early April, we've been watching the drought. Pretty good conditions south of Indianapolis, still kind of wet after some heavy rains we've had throughout the early spring. We're still in drought mode north of Indianapolis for north central Indiana. We're in that moderate to severe category, so this would be kind of a level 1 drought, level 2. Yellow is just abnormally dry, but not necessarily drought just yet. We need a few more inches, at least probably 2 to 6 inches for north central Indiana to kind of ease things down. You don't want it all at once, or that would lead to some flooding. Also, more rain continues to warm the ground up after a cold winter and a snowy winter. We were above average for this past winter. This shows you the averages of how much snow we typically get in a month. And April is the last month that we have an average, 0.2 inches. It doesn't snow, or I should say this, snow doesn't always stick in April. At some point, we probably can expect at least a few snow showers on an average April here in Indiana, but they don't always stick as ground temperatures are warming, and a lot of times the snow is light, but we've had accumulating snows in April. It's definitely possible, but I would say more often than not, we actually don't really get too many accumulating snows. I believe it was something about 10 to 20% in Indianapolis. 10 to 20% of Aprils get at least 0.1 inch or more. So most of them actually don't, but we do get snow showers. They're just melting. But it's the last month that we have a snowfall average. After that, I mean, you can get flurries in May, but they don't usually really stick. It's also a windy time of year. Our windiest month is in March, and our windiest week of the year is usually the second to last or the last week in March. So we've just got past that. April's still a very breezy month, but we're going to finally start to notice winds calming down. These are your average wind speeds throughout a month. But you're thinking 11 miles per hour, that's it? Well, there's a lot of times when the wind's not really doing much, right? It's calm for a second. We don't really notice those moments, but those hours do rack up too. But then we get these wind speeds this time of year of 50 to 60 miles per hour. We get wind advisories. So you average anything out, and at least the wind is constantly moving about 10, 11 miles per hour. But we are starting to try to back off slowly. We're at the peak, just past the peak for the windiest time of the year. Cloud-wise, look what happens. By about the second week of April, we start to change our cloud percentage. We start to get more sunshine than clouds during the daylight hours. For the past several months, it's our cloudy season, and I would say April is still kind of a cloudy month because we do have rain chances. It's a wetter month for us. We're in the spring. But in between these systems, we usually get some decent sun, and we don't form as many clouds off the Great Lakes anymore because the winds coming off the Great Lakes are not as cold as they were earlier, so they're not kicking up any of those, as many as those lake effect clouds. So let's dive into that a little bit more. Second week of April, that's when we make that transition where more days are sunny or at least partly cloudy. You know, you're still getting some good sunrise. To 49% are overcast or mostly cloudy. So we are headed in the right direction, and that percentage of sunny or at least partly cloudy skies, good sun still, that percentage will continue to go up as we soar right into May. Speaking of the sun, it continues to get higher and higher in the sky. In fact, April is in one of the, let's say if we took all the months for sun angles, high and low, and divide it in half, April would be one of the higher ones. Check this out. Mid-month, we have sun angles at 60 degrees. That's 60 degrees from the horizon. So we're more than halfway up by this time of year. Our highest sun angle is in June, so that's where we're headed. But with a higher sun angle, we get more weather and also more severe weather. Speaking of severe weather, we do expect tornadoes this time of year. This map shows you different colors for different states on how many tornadoes would we expect throughout the month of April. We're starting to get into the heart of tornado season. That would be April and May for us specifically. But in Indiana, on average, when you're looking back from 1998 to 2022, and that'll continue to be updated as we go forward, 3 to 4 tornadoes, what we can expect in April. We're already at 11 at the very start of April, but we'll add to that count throughout the month. So it is a stormy month for us. It's not just about tornadoes. A lot of times we get these windstorms. We get a lot of hail sometimes in April because we warm up by the ground. It's still cold upstairs, kind of leftover wintry air. So when you get these thunderstorms, it can tap into the cold air above and you create hailstones more easily. And the question is, how big will they be once they get to the ground? They can be large. They can be up to the size of melons, like cantaloupes, things like that. And you're thinking, oh my goodness, that's huge. But by the time they reach the ground, most of it melts, but you could still have a golf ball or maybe even tennis ball sized hail. Right at the transition from March into April, we did have some tennis ball sized hail. So we've had some big reports. Most of those were in northern Indiana. So what about this April? We typically start in the 50s. We end up in the upper 60s. So most of the month, 60s, what you can expect. However, we are trending warmer than normal. I would say most days will probably be above those 60s. We do expect a lot of 70s this month. Here's a look at your 30-day outlook. So for April, warmer than normal conditions would probably be most likely for us. There will be cool downs. There will be a couple mornings that are near freezing. We are in this frost and freeze time frame. The growing season has officially started, so when mornings are at 36 degrees or colder, you're at least going to get a frost advisory. If they're getting closer to 32 or colder, you're going to get a freeze alert. When you're saying 36, we still say frost. You're thinking, that's not to the freezing temperature yet. How is that possible? When we say 36 degrees, that's kind of the general temperature that we're forecasting. but the air right by the ground could be a little bit colder where the plants are. And so that's why at 36 degrees for the rest of us, there could be frost down by the ground. So this is the time to get frost and freeze alerts. We're likely to get a couple throughout the rest of the month of April, but we are expecting warmer than normal conditions, also wetter than normal conditions. We're going to have a lot of systems coming through. It's honestly been an active late winter and early spring. We don't see that really letting up. Now, it doesn't mean every system's going to be super stormy, but we do have some more rainfall on the way. Typically in the month of April, we get about 4.5 inches or so. So we're at least calling for 4, probably 5, 6, 7 inches. That's where we may end up for some of us. And remember, the drought is a little bit worse in north central Indiana. So hopefully we can try to eliminate some of that, or at least lessen the drought conditions before we head into the growing season. April's a crazy month. If I was to ask you real quick, what is April like? You would say probably, well, we're starting getting warmer days, some nice days, but it's also super stormy. That would be accurate. And we're expecting maybe a little bit more storm coverage and a little bit warmer weather this April 2026, specifically here across Indiana.
Outside the Forecast on WTHR Plus is sponsored by LCS Heating and Cooling.